Alrighty then, pairs of lines and angles. 3.1, chapter 3.1. This is beginning of chapter 3, numero 3. Parallel and perpendicular lines. So there's 5 sections in chapter 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. And the first one is pairs of lines and angles. So first thing, parallel lines. Parallel lines are lines that do not intersect and are in the same plane. So are these two lines parallel? No, they're not parallel. They do not intersect. You can't see it yet, but these two lines do not intersect. Doesn't mean they're in the same plane, just means they don't intersect. So for lines to be parallel, they have to not intersect and be in the same plane. These two lines are considered skew lines. They're skew. Okay, they don't intersect, but they're not in the same plane. Okay, they do not intersect, but they're not in the same plane. So those are skew lines. That's this stuff is on page 126. Okay, if lines are in the same plane and do not intersect, then they're considered parallel. Again, this stuff is on page 126. This stuff right here should put in your notebooks. In your notebooks, page 126. Puts this in your notebooks. Okay, so the first section, the parallel postulate states if you have a line and a point not in a line, so here's a line, here's a point not in a line. If you have that, then there's exactly one line through that point that is parallel to the given line. Blah, 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 blah. What? Here's a line, here's a point not on that line. Then there's only going to be one line parallel to this line that goes through that point. So if here's a line that goes through that point, is that parallel to this line? No, because they intersect right there. What about like this? These two lines don't intersect. True, they don't intersect, they're skew lines. They're not in the same plane. After I messed that up. This says if you have a line and this point not in a line, there's only going to be one line that goes through this point that is parallel to that line. And it's something like this. Whoops. Like that. Okay. 3.2 states if you have a line and a point not on that line, then there's only going to be one line that goes through this point that is perpendicular to that line. So this is perpendicular to that line, but it doesn't go through that point. This goes through the point, but it's not perpendicular to that line. So there's only going to be one line that goes through this point and is perpendicular. Goes through this point and is perpendicular to that line. Okay, that's what these two statements make. Those postulates. On the other side, this stuff here in 128, you don't need a copy of all that stuff because I'm going to take all this stuff and shove it into one thing right here. Just copy this stuff right here. Here's two lines. This line right here is called a transversal. Transversal. Okay. These are angles formed by transversals. So here's just two lines. This line is called a transversal. Right there, it's spelled right there. Angles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Corresponding angles, our angles would be angle 1 and 5 are corresponding. Angles 2 and 6 are corresponding. Angles 3 and 7 are corresponding. Angles 4 and 8 are corresponding. To see where are these in relation to all the other angles. 4 and 8 are corresponding. 2 and 6 are corresponding. 1 and 5 are corresponding. 3 and 7 are corresponding, and they're listed right there. Then there's alternate interior angles. Interior means inside, exterior means outside, so interior. Here's two lines. That's your transversal. If we're talking about angles inside, on the inside of these two lines, on the inside, so these four angles, okay, and they're on alternating sides of that transversal. So alternate interior angles would be 4 and 5, listed right there, and angles 3 and 6. 3 and 6 would be alternate interior angles. 4 and 5 would be alternate interior angles. exterior on the outside. So here's your transversal. Okay, alternate exterior angles would be 1 and 8, angle 1 and 8, and angles 2 and 7. Those are alternate exterior angles right here. Angle 1 and 8, angle 2 and 7. Okay. Then you have consecutive interior angles, and some books call it same side interior angles. I don't care which one you use. Pick one that works best for you. You should know the difference. They're the same. They look different. They mean the same thing. Okay. Consecutive interior angles. It's another way of saying that is same side interior angles. So here's your transversal. Okay. It says interior, so they have to be on the interior. So these are not alternating sides of the trans. 3 and 6 are on alternating sides of that line. 4 and 5 are on alternating sides. This one says same side. So 3 and 5 are on the same side of that transversal, and they're on the interior of these two lines. So 3 and 5 are called same side interior angles. 4 and 6 would be same side interior angles, or consecutive interior angles. So you have this right here, okay? Consecutive interior angles or same side interior angles. Those right there. Okay? You should put all the stuff in your notes. So let's do some practice. Here's some angles right here. Here's some angles. And for me, I learned the stuff with the two lines going like this. And here's the transversal. So for my brain, it makes it easier if I take this. Confusing. Here, just rotate it. Rotate the book, rotate the piece of paper. For my brain, that makes it so much easier. Okay. Here's the two lines. And there's your transversal. Okay. What do you call angles A and D corresponding? What do you call angles Q and W? Alternate exterior angles. What do you call angles A and B? Alternate exterior angles. Here, let's put the letter T right there. What do you call angles C and D? C and D would be alternate interior angles. What do you call ET? Phone home. Sorry, that was a bad joke. What do you... If you saw that movie, you'd understand it. E and T, those are alternate interior angles. What do you call A and W? Call it root beer. Yeah, sorry, another bad joke. Angles A and W, yeah, you don't call those anything. Those are, you don't have a name for those. They're on the same side. You can call them same side exterior angles, but we don't really have a name for that. Okay. What about Q and W? Alternate exterior angles. What about angle T and W? Vertical angles. What about TB? I don't mean Tom Brady. TB would be supplementary angles or linear pairs. What about C and E? Supplementary angles or linear pair. What about A and C? Vertical angles. What about E and D? Same side interior or consecutive interior angles. Okay. Here's some more lines. Again, for my brain, there's a line, there's a line. There, that's the transversal. I'm going to take this and rotate it so those lines kind of like look like that. So for my brain, that's a lot more, makes more sense. Visually, it makes more sense. Okay. Do these lines have to be parallel? No. There's nowhere here that says these lines are parallel. There's nowhere here that says these lines are parallel or not parallel. Okay. So what would you call lines B and A, or angles A and B? Vertical angles. How about B and S? BS. Angles S and B are corresponding angles. How about A and S? Alternate interior angles. How about Z and W? Alternate exterior angles. How about A and P? Same side interior or consecutive interior angles. How about B and Q? Alternate exterior angles. How about P and W? Vertical angles. How about T and P? Alternate interior angles. What about P and Q? Supplementary angles or linear pairs. Okay, all that stuff is going to be for chapter 3.1 by lines, parallel lines. Okay, and when you when you see something that looks like, where'd it go? When you see stuff that looks like this, here's two lines, they have an arrow. That means these two lines are parallel. If they don't have the same number of arrows, that means then you don't know. Here, this line and this line, there's no arrows, so we don't know if these lines are parallel or not. Okay, these two lines have the same number of arrows, which means these two lines are parallel. Okay, there you go. Have fun, guys. Bye.